Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy. 4 nerds, by nerds, hanging out with the crew today.
Hey, I'm Ryan.
I'm Ted.
I'm Nate.
And today I want to discuss with you guys reskinning classes, opposed to like totally remaking or making up new classes or reinventing the wheel. You know, we can take the ones we have right in our PHB and insert, new flavor to our game using them.
But before we do that, let me tell you about Nerdarchy, the newsletter, which you can find down in the description below of this link right here. And it'll give you ideas of how to be able to game with Nerdarchy, give you some tips and other sweet exclusives. So back to reskinning classes.
So, like, we always get requests to make up certain classes. Gunslinger, we've gotten numerous times. And then someone else had actually talked about in their game, they had a player who they were trying to really get them more involved and more excited about the game. So they let him make up a druid alchemist, and basically he would drink different brews and change into different things. So, which is really just reskinning and reflavoring a little bit.
So you're not talking about changing any mechanics, just changing the outside, if you
The
will.
aesthetics of it.
I would say as a person making classes, I don't ever like to change mechanics unless it's absolutely necessary.
Well,
Because everything else has already been play tested.
It's definitely a lot more complicated to do that.
Yeah.
So like for instance, the gunslinger. A lot of times people ask me, "Well, how would you do that?" And for me, really, the only downside is the archetype systems for a lot of classes start at 3rd level.
Right, so you're going to be a little long to be able to do stuff right out the gate.
But in my opinion, like the battle master makes an excellent gunslinger. All you do is give them the proficiency with whatever level of technology you want them to have for using guns. The battle master gets a
Superiority dice?
No, they do get that. No, they get a skill. They get an extra tool skill, tool proficiency at 3rd level as well.
So that's your tool to be able to make your guns.
Right, yeah. And you just, let's see, Student of War at 3rd level. Your proficiency with artisan's tools of your choice. So instead of artisan's tools, or instead of your choice, you would just make it...
Gunsmithing.
Yeah, basically give them gunsmithing tools. And then from there, they have the proficiency. And I feel like, with all the maneuvers you can use as a battle master, it's going to make for a really cool gunslinger
trick
class.
shot feel. You've got the shooting them in the leg so they don't get away kind of thing.
And then
because that's trip basically, right?
Yeah. You could, and then the only other thing I would really change is I would allow them to take the crossbow expert feat. And just change it to gun expert feat.
Now, would the weapon they're using is just a reskin crossbow? So I mean, they could have a hand crossbow.
No, you just go to DMG and find black powder weapons. It's a gunslinger.
Okay.
But you could.
What's the black powder weapon do? Really, like damage wise?
D10, is it?
I don't know off the top of my hand. It's in the DMG.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys can find it.
The gun weapons are a lot
Superior.
They do more damage.
No, the crazy gun weapons, like the new modern gun weapons, do crazy amounts of damage. But like a black powder rifle or a musket,
They still do more.
It's like a die 8 or a die 10.
Okay,
But
well,
it's something you could
at
technically
supreme
do.
range.
so a die 8 is just a longbow, really.
But you
when
could-
it comes down to it, and a heavy crossbow is a D10, I think. So
But you could do all of the gunslinging stuff with just a longbow or a crossbow, and put it in here without actually having to change any of your setting rules. You don't have to.
Well, the second you put gunslinger into your campaign, you've changed the setting rules, in my opinion.
If you're using guns.
that's what I mean.
No,
just-
what I'm saying is you don't have to. It doesn't have to be labeled as a gunslinger. You're playing that feel just using a crossbow.
Sharpshooter.
Yeah.
Or you're a sharpshooter.
You're
a gunslinger
Hawkeye.
is.
Yeah, so but what I'm saying is, let's say you don't want to have, let's say they're really powerful, I don't know, whatever, black musket, whatever.
I think we're finding that out.
Yeah, but regardless, what I'm saying is, you're reskinning a class. Just reskin the weapon. How powerful? I was like, I don't know if I can let guns on my game. Well, does it do longbow damage? Because I think you can let a longbow into your game. Longbow's got good range.
You're only putting this stuff in if that's what you want in your game. So I don't think that it really matters that much.
Okay, this is what I'm saying is, you're reskinning a class to have a gunslinger. Just reskin a weapon in the game
already existed.
that isn't something that you have to say, oh, I've got to let this in, it does more damage, or it does something different or weird. Just be like, well, I just want to shoot a gun instead of shooting a bow. All right, well then here's a gun that shoots like a bow. Does the same kind of damage, you know.
It's actually
crossbows hurt. Crossbows really, really hurt.
yeah.
We're all into bullets now, but they still kill you. Crossbows still kill you.
They'll kill you. They'll kill you dead.
It
They'll
can
kill
just
you dead.
be,
You die.
oh, it's a front-loading musket shooter. All right, well, a heavy crossbow has it has reload, and if you're really good at it and you're a crossbow expert, you're a musket expert. You know, so there you go, bam. Or if you want hand crossbow, what's the one you can do? You can load the hand crossbow a few times and shoot it.
There's the repeating bows.
Yeah, so you could just say, well, this is like a repeating crossbow, except again, it is reskinned to look like a gun. Like, so it's a 6-shooter handgun or a 3-shooter handgun or whatever you think you can make happen. I actually like using the gunslinger as arcane slinger, where it's basically they just use arcanic devices like a gun-like object, and it shoots bolts of force. So I mean, you can
Magic
just
missiles.
witch bolt, magic missile, like all that kind of stuff. But every round you can shoot your gun, and you just say, well, I just shoot like what is it? Eldritch Blast shoots multiple times. So you could just be like, yeah, I'm lighting it up. Yeah. 4d10, baby, you know. So like that's what I could see as just that mechanic's already in the game,
right?
On force.
So if you want to make the Western like 6-shooter version of the Warlock, go right ahead. Like that would be your way of doing that, which would be fun.
But in the end, you haven't said, well, I can't let that item into my game, but you know,
right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, yeah, some of the later guns are really powerful, but
It's a die 10, die 12.
okay.
And well, here's the thing too. Like they're very expensive.
Yeah. Well, again,
use.
you can make it where it's in the game, but it's not like assault rifle kind of stuff in it. Right. It's just the simple
Well,
stuff.
I'm just of the opinion once a DM has said okay to the gunslinger, they've said okay to the gun.
Yeah,
like you're saying reskin it, but like why would they? Because they've already agreed to use it. They already said I want that in my game. Yeah, they've already.
Okay, if someone's going to be a gunslinger, this is my thing. If someone's going to be they want to be a gunslinger. Let me be a gunslinger, and be like, no, I don't want to do it unless you let me have a weapon that does D12.
We're talking about from the DM's perspective. The DM's decided to put it in the game.
But you're making it seem like that's an actual like, oh, I don't know if I can have a gun, and like mechanics wise, I'm saying it's just a reskin thing. Well, yeah, if you're in a fantasy game and you don't have guns, well, why would you have a gunslinger anyway?
Depends how modernish your fantasy's going to go.
I'm just saying, people have asked for the gunslinger.
And
This is the way to make it
I'm
happen.
saying
They've accepted the gun in their game.
Accepting the gun is
They
different
accepted
than
the
accepting
gun.
the gun mechanic.
And here's the thing: you actually have to be proficient to get your proficiency bonus.
Okay.
So there's the caveat: like it requires special training to use,
Right.
and it does more damage.
Yeah.
So
I don't understand what you're arguing about.
They've accepted the gun as their Lord and Savior, basically.
Yeah, like everyone's agreed to have it in the game,
Right,
and you're
so-
trying to fix something that's not broken.
All right, so
I'm trying to say it's not a big deal to accept it into your game if you want to just make it similar to a longbow or a crossbow.
All right, guys, just fight. Let's get this on film.
like a longbow or a crossbow, just have those in your game, though.
All right, so do we want to continue on with other examples of reskinning?
Oh, heck yeah.
Or
Yeah. I think we've already.
No, I want to argue with Nate some more.
Yeah. Buried that one into the ground. Yeah.
So, again, someone else did the druid thing where where you're going with the Dr.
Jekyll
and Mr. Hyde type scenario where, you know, instead of being a druid where you wild shape, you're actually like a crazy alchemist that has made these compounds that you can drink and use those to wild shape. And again, you could also reskin all your spells
To be something like
do
that.
the same
I
thing.
mean,
Like Miracle Grow for playing Grow.
I mean, that's really not too far
Absolutely.
off from what you did with in the Urban Underdark game. We have an alchemist in the game who all of her invocation spells are like her mixing up shit and throwing it.
Yeah. So she's essentially that's it.
Evelindra is like that. That's same idea. Very very much the same concept. So yeah, you could do, you know, like all of your wild shapes could just be you drink something and you get heightened senses and maybe you just like look off. But you don't actually turn into an animal, you know, like
or they could totally just be I drink this potion and I turn into the thing.
Well, yeah, I agree. You could go either way.
Yeah.
Like, you could literally do a version where it. The only thing I will say to that, like if you're doing your version, is there's got to be the factor of, when you transform into an animal, it takes away your ability. It takes away your human abilities, your druid abilities. So you have to turn. You still have to be bestial enough
that you can't do those.
Yeah, you don't.
I was just thinking that you look kind of just freakish, like an Island of Dr. Moreau sort of thing. Whenever you do it, and maybe it does alter you, enough that you can't.
Like you don't have opposable thumbs. Your vocal cords are altered enough where you can't speak and cast spells.
Like the terribly mutant Spider-Man. That still had Spider-Man powers.
Man
Yes.
Spider.
Man Spider. Yes.
Yeah. Clearly.
So so that's so it does work both ways. Just for if you're doing like the alteration thing, the consideration of the drawbacks to being an animal still have to be there.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, like, really, you kind of do lose out in that. If you were going to totally go that way, you kind of lose out in your ability to do like legitimate reconnaissance. So like maybe that you'd also have some sort of mutagens or whatever that will actually make you legitimately look like animals. Because sometimes you need to look like a house cat to go get information and not be suspicious. When you're doing.
I almost feel like though with that, like you're gonna want to go one way or the other.
Yeah.
Like the in between. Like I feel like you have to make a decision. Like, does it just mutate you into like this monstrous animal person, or do you actually just turn into the animals?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the only thing is like part of the feature of being able to wild shape is the idea that you could look like innocuous things that are just going to be in nature. I mean, that's one of the major utilities of druids are to go spy as an animal. That would just be a dumb animal that's around.
Yeah, and
I don't think anything of that hummingbird that's flying around.
my issue is when you just reskin something and you actually gain a detriment for it, it's not really reskinning. In the sense of, okay, I have this man spider thing, and that's like the theme of my stuff, but I can't turn into a fluffy bunny or something. Well, then it would just be like a different alchemical concoction for you to drink. Like that's why I see like thematically some of the things or you can do like a full transformation, or you can be this weird crazy looking thing.
Well, I guess so. It's just you've kind of boned yourself if you decided to use the weird transformation description, because now you have to use another wild shape if you want to further change.
Yeah, I would totally say that. Yes, if you change into one thing, you need to use another wild shape to change into something else.
Maybe, but maybe you can compensate a little bit by giving advantage as the DM. You can give advantage on certain checks.
Right.
Maybe like intimidation or something.
Yeah, because you're just freaky, dude.
Because you are
weird. Yeah.
Although you have to make sure although your intimidation requires you not to speak while you do it.
Yeah. So you can't actually get
Glare at them
specific
with all of
information.
your 8 eyes on your head.
You can't get specific information because you can't really talk or anything. But
Someone else will have to do the vocalizing.
have to translate. Yeah.
So you've got loads of options that you can do to within the confines of this book. Just because it says RP was one way does not necessarily mean it's gotta stay that way. Feel free to tinker around with what the visualization is.
Bless you.
And you then take these 12 classes, 13 classes, whatever's here, and be able to make it more diverse.
Yes.
So that pretty much hammers the point home. I mean, do you guys want to just argue some more about the gun thing? Yeah.
No,
we'll save that for another
We're
video.
both arguing about different things.
Yeah. All right.
So what do you guys think about reskinning classes? How do you do it in your game, at your table? Put it in the comments below. While you're at it, like, share, even subscribe.
Check out the articles over on nerdarchy.com dealing with custom classes.
You can hang out with us over on Facebook for funny memes.
Yep. And you can fire away at us over on Twitter at nerdarchy.
So until next time, stay nerdy.